All right, we are now joined in the media center by our race-winning crew chief, Mike Bugarewicz, for the Firekeepers Casino 400. Mike, this is the first time SHR has swept first through third. Also, 7 of the top 8 finishers today were Fords. Talk a little bit about today's success across the board.
Yeah, I mean, not enough can be said about number 1 SHR. Obviously, a 1 through 3 finish. All 4 cars at one point during the race in the top 10. Obviously, the qualifying effort speaks for itself. Just, man, everybody back at the shop, every person who touches these cars has done such a tremendous job this year at SHR. And then Doug Yates, you know, like you said, 7 of, would you say 7 or 8 in the top 10?
7 of 8.
Oh, 7, the top
8.
7 of 8. Wow. I mean, what can you say about that with Doug Yates and his horsepower, huh? That was pretty incredible there.
Awesome. And we are also joined by Greg Zipadelli. Greg, if you could also just speak to the fact that this is the first 1 through 3 sweep for Stewart-Haas Racing, as well as Ford's success today. You guys also brought home the Michigan Heritage Trophy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just awesome. I was saying there's nothing better than winning other than winning on a weekend off. And when you have it 1, 2, 3, it makes that weekend even better. Enjoy the time off with the families, and you know what I mean. It's big momentum for our group. It's pretty awesome to see Mike take a chance there. I mean, they had a good car and put himself in, give him the opportunity to win. Kevin was pretty tough there, so I think that that was a good call.
I'm pretty pumped about winning on off weekends because the next one's Indy and the next one's Homestead. So this is looking pretty good so far.
All right, we will now open it up for questions, starting with Holly. If you have a question, we'll bring you a microphone. Please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation. Holly.
Hey, Mike, it's Holly with the NASCAR Wire Service. I just wondered if you could explain a little bit about your decision to go with 2 tires, and did you feel like that was going to be the way you needed to go to make a difference there?
Well, I would say everything prior to 4 laps to go, we were watching the weather, and you know, most of it hung around that 16, 17 miles out, mostly to the southwest or the west in general, and it just kind of would build and then break up and build and break up and never really got any closer. So for the longest time I was thinking, well, we're going to run pretty far, if not the whole thing in that 3rd segment, and we're probably going to need 4 tires at the end of the 2nd stage. And then all of a sudden, with 4 to go, like to the northeast, the cell popped up, and it didn't look like a real heavy cell. It just looked like a mist, kind of, well, exactly what showed up. But I was thinking, man, probably a lot of these leaders are going to do 2 just to keep the track position. They got to be seeing it too. And so when we were coming on pit road, I was 100% sure 2 tires was the right call. Then we got about 3/4 of the way down pit road, and I was just about 70% sure. And then we slid in our pit box, and I was about 50% sure. And by then we were leaving, and it was too late. So our bed was made, and Clint asked, "Are we the only one on 2?" Yeah, we're the only one on 2. But you know, he did a great job on that restart, holding off one of the best. Kevin, obviously, 6 wins this year. You know, one of the best in our sport right now. And you know, I can't say enough about the great job that Clint did holding him off there. It's just as much as important as making that 2-tire call for sure.
Bob.
Bob Hocker, CSPM. On some rain shortened races, you see somebody win who didn't lead a ton of laps, and people say, well, you know, maybe got a little lucky. But I assume that, you know, when you're running second and you make a call and it works, that you feel it's pretty well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we qualified 12th, and I think we really started around that 10th place position, 8th place position, and kind of worked our way up there into the top 3, top 4, you know, early in the first stage, and then we kind of hung around that 2nd to 3rd place, you know, for the rest of the deal until we were getting to the close of that 2nd stage, finishing 2nd, and you know, then at that point I felt like we had enough speed. You know, we would run comparable lap times to the leader at times, and most of the time faster than 3rd and 4th. So it's just a track position game at that point, right? You know, you always see that the first 2 cars are the fastest in the field. So I felt like if we could get the lead, maybe we had a chance to hold them off. So it seemed like it worked out.
Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com for Booga. Were you surprised that none of like the back markers stayed out and tried like some crazy strategy and just hoped the rain came? I mean, I think the 95 stayed out and then they pitted with 1 to go, maybe before the green. Is that right? I'm not sure.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't notice it right away, but after we paced around the first lap and I saw on timing and scoring the 95 come up P1, I was like, man, I didn't catch that. I didn't see that, because knowing if he would have stayed out, I really would have wished I did 4 tires instead of the 2, because at that point we didn't have control of the race. And then to see him pit, I was a little bit surprised that he did pit, but it worked out in our favor.
Why, like, let's say, like, I don't know who was running back, but somebody at the back of the lead lap, just some Hail Mary for some playoff. Were you surprised that, I mean, obviously, I guess you weren't expecting it because he took 2. But why wouldn't somebody in that situation be like, I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of a tough one to answer. You know, in one sense, if you do that, yeah, maybe you win the race. But I think if you're that far off, if you're a 24th place car and you get kind of thrown up there, I don't know you're going to compete with those top 5 cars, to be honest. You know, maybe you could hold them off for a lap or a restart. But I mean, look at Harvick on the inside of us. I felt like we were a very competitive car, and him on 4 tires. It was a battle, you know, for that point coming to the start-finish line on that first lap. So I think a guy staying out with no tires and already kind of struggling in the race would have been a real challenge to try and pull that off.
Any other questions for Mike or Greg?
George Poley, the Macomb Daily. Mike, your best guess, if you take 4 instead of 2, where are you on the restart? And a second question, what drove this race most today? The threatening weather, or on TV they were talking a lot about the cool track conditions, wasn't as much tire fall off, et cetera. So was it the urgency of the weather or just the general conditions?
You know, I would say for most of the race, once we got started, the weather wasn't too much of a concern. You know, just like I said, at the end of that second stage where that cell popped up to the northeast of us is kind of when you're looking at it thinking, wow, this could close in on us and end the race. But up to that point, you know, you're kind of watching it creep in from the southwest, and it was getting closer, but like I said, it kind of stalled out around that 17 miles away. I think it's Michigan, and at the end of the day, it's track position. You know, if you lose that track position, it's a fight to try and get back up there. You look at the restarts, and you restart in that 8th to 10th place spot, and it's brutal. I mean, those guys are 4 wide, gouging and trying to get every spot that they can, because they know if you're going to gain spots, that's where you're going to gain the majority of them. Throughout the fuel run, you might gain 1 to 2 if you have a really good car, but it's all about the restarts there. So keeping your track position, I think, is key all day long.
All right, thank you so much, Mike and Greg, for your time, and congrats on your win. I'm sorry, I totally butchered your last name. I have it written phonetically like 2 different ways.
It's not